Welcome to the great outdoors, or at least the patch that we call our own. And after weeks of digging, planting, rearranging pots, then rearranging them again, and having a couple of arguments with a hedge, the hard work is done. Well, mostly. The truth is, in a garden, it's never really finished. It grows and it surprises you as the seasons unfold. But now we get to enjoy it. This is the time to exhale, to step outside, breathe in the fresh air, and remember what it's like to slow down and to simply be. Sit back and soak in all the little nooks and crannies, the twinkling fairy lights by night and the gentle buzzing of the bees by day. A place for morning coffees, barefoot wandering, evening chats, and spontaneous laughter around the barbecue, especially if I'm cooking. For me, it's a nostalgic nod to my childhood spent outdoors from dawn until dusk, when summer meant grass-stained knees, jam sandwiches, and my dad turning the garden into a makeshift water park with a hose pipe pegged to the washing line. They really were simpler times, full of love and happy memories and endless fun. So, come on in. The garden's open. It's a space that's been built for both peace and for play. I will show you how I created my English garden oasis, from the little touches to the big transformations. It's a place that's full of charm, a place for family and friends, and a whole lot of fun summer days, and a whole lot of fun summer nights await. Right then, let's have a little catch up, shall we? You remember the garden room? Well, definitely seen better days after winter. The roof was leaky, the screens had more holes than a tea strainer, and the whole thing looked like it had been beaten up by winter. So we rolled up our sleeves and we got started. First up, the roof. We took the old one off, put a new one on, nearly finished that. Beefed up the side walls. They're nice and sturdy now, put on fresh screens, perfect for summer. Once winter rolls in, we are going to board them up and wrap the whole shed up for winter time. When it came to the front walls, we gave it a proper facelift, a new door, a big window, fresh wall, very glamorous. And then to keep the rain out, we hung some plastic lined curtains that I thrifted, which are very functional and very fabulous. Now, coming to the inside, this is where I had the fun. I shopped the house. I hit the thrift stores. I was like a woman on a floral mission. Bits and bobs, mismatched charm, you name it. Vintage finds with a story to tell. The whole space has come together and now really feels like a lovely old nostalgic English cottage, slightly wonky in places but full of love and soul and little items that just make you think, ooh, and that's just how I like it. And of course Dudley loves it as well. So the garden room was mostly done and it was time to concentrate on the side yard. We'd done a little bit of work on it and bought a few flowers here and there and had big plans, but then the new back fence went up with a new gate and that just set the tone for everything. It really gave us a proper backdrop to work the entire yard with a new fresh layout. We had an area for dining, we had an area for sitting, and then we had an area for barbecuing. So as you walk through the gate, to the left was where we were going to barbecue, to the right was where we were going to eat, and then obviously the rest of the yard we were just going to work on. We did move two of the big ferns because they were in direct sun, so we repotted a few plants here and there to get them in the right spots to last for the summertime. course, there's always time for thrifting, and there was a couple of things that I needed. So this was a couple of the items that I picked up at one of the garage sales. I got this clear wax, which was $5, originally $20. That was brand new, never been opened. And then I got this grey wax, which was $2, originally $13.99. Again, never been opened. So those were a great find. I got a bag of these hooks, got this really lovely vintage needlecraft book, and for anyone who sews, this was such a lovely find. And as you know, I'm a big sewer, so I had to get that. The mirror was $5 and it's perfect for the wall. I wanted to put it on one of the back walls. And then this is the hook that I'm going to be using in the garden room for hats and fly swats, things like that. And then all these other little brass hooks, which were fantastic. I'm just going to give them all a quick spray and use them in other projects as I go along. I also managed to pick up these two stands. I kept one the same colour, and what I was thinking, I was just going to put pots in them. Most of the pots fit quite well. Then I decided, no, I'm going to use the one as a bird bath. So this was the little bowl that I picked up thrifting a couple of weeks ago. I think you might have seen it in one of my other hauls. I also picked up a $2 bottle of spray paints, which actually didn't work. I was a bit disappointed, but for $2, what does it matter? And I sprayed one of these stands in an off-white. I picked this little silver horn plaque for $5, I think, from a garage sale. And then obviously this is a quick look at the fence once it was finished. And once hubby had finished putting this up, we had quite a bit left over, so he built this table to go next to the barbecue, because we knew we were moving the barbecue here, and also a few other items with the leftovers. So here we are now in the smoking section. So what we did here was I just took a piece of like matting that I found at the dollar store, pinned that to the siding, I covered it with a piece of trellis that I had in the garden, and then framed it out just with a few pieces of barn board. I did the same, made a shelf out of barn board with a couple of garden hangers, and then this was the table that hubby made out of what was left from the fence. And then I just grabbed a few things, a couple of my copper pots and the little copper containers with the plants in, and lit it all up, and we've got a nice little spot there for barbecuing and grilling. So it's just made this empty corner look so much better. So this is the little spot that I love. It's the dining nook, and it's just a quiet corner for the patio table and my refurbished umbrella. And I wanted to give the area a bit of a glow up, so I started with the big fern that I moved from beside the garden room and tucked it into the shady corner, and she's very happy there. She looks like she owns the place. Then I found an old bit of trellis in the shed. It was a bit wonky, but it's still charming, and it added a vintage window to it. It's a window mirror for a lovely bit of reflection and depth. And of course I wrapped the whole thing in faux greenery from Amazon. There's no watering, no fuss, and finished it all off with some solar twinkle lights, because honestly everything's better with a bit of sparkle. And now it's a cosy little nook for tea, wine, or pretending I live in a Jane Austen novel. So never want to leave anything to waste. we cut 3 of these shapes and then made some little coasters out of what was left. So, and we cut down a post and made 4 legs, 4 large, 4 medium and 4 small, screwed them directly to the stand, which was like a seat that we made, and then put 2 screws in each of the legs, and we were left with 3 different size plant stands, a small, a medium and a large. So I had enough wood left to make 2 planters. The first one was a tall planter, which was deeper. Screwed it all together, drilled holes in the bottom, filled this with soil. This is going to be for herbs. That's going in the backyard on the side behind one of the benches. And then we're calling it the coffin because it just, to me, it looks just like a coffin. We're going to line everything with plastic as well, obviously. This is the coffin. This is a deeper, larger planter, and I'm going to put tomatoes, potatoes, mushrooms, strawberries in this one. And this is outside the garden room onto the front, onto the garden. And we're just going to fill these with soil, and these are getting planted up. But again, this was bits of wood that we found around the garden, behind the sheds, from old jobs. We've used up all the wood now, which is great. It's really handy. And this is it. This is it all planted up. So this has got tomatoes, lettuce, and I think I also have a strawberry plant in there as well. And then the other one is the one that has all the herbs in it. So this was a vision that I had. I've had this piece of vintage fencing. I've had this for ages. I've got 2 of these panels, and I wanted to turn them into a gate. I've wanted to do this for a long time. And I had an idea. I had these pieces of trellis that were left over from, I don't even know when. There were 2 smaller pieces. So when I joined them together, they were almost the perfect size to fit in this wrought iron fence panel. So I added in the piece of trim in the middle, stained them all the same size, and then laid them down onto the panel, the fence panel, and then just took twist ties and just sort of twist tied everything into place. I must have used maybe 10 or 12 of these twist ties, and it stayed perfectly, looks great, and hides a multitude of sins. Wanted to add a little bit more of the ambient lighting into the garden room. I don't always have the Christmas twinkle lights on. I found this. I picked this up at a garage sale a couple of years ago. I covered the wire in this piece of ribbon just to cover it up and make it look better. And then I found this came off an old light, ceiling fan light that I had. So I gave it a good wash, cleaned it all up, and then unscrewed the little brackets off the light bulb. 2 pieces come apart, so you can see one holds the top of the light, and then another piece fits in underneath and holds everything into place. And I was ready to go. Easiest light I've ever made. The nice thing about this light is I have it on a hook above the little table in the garden room, and because of the way the cut glass is in these little pieces, it really gives a lovely shadowy light around the room. It looks fantastic. first thing I needed was a chair. I didn't want to go out and buy one. I had a couple sitting in the basement that I don't use all the time. This was a chair I thrifted last year for $5. I found a really nice remnant that was quite expensive and recovered that for the living room last year, but I'm not using it at the moment, but it was the perfect size for what I wanted. So I had this panel. It was an old curtain panel. I think it's a Waverley pattern, this lovely red floral. So I placed the panel over it to make sure I had enough, and then I ripped the lining out of it and made a template of the chair to make sure everything would fit. And then this is the two side panels, and then I added one piece all the way around to fill it in, and then I pinned everything together, stitched it up, and I ended up with, this is to make sure it fits, I do this, turn it inside out. This is all pinned and ready to be stitched, and as you can see, I had enough material to slip cover the whole couch, so the whole chair. So I turned it back, I stitched it all up, and I was left with a very rustic, a loose fitting, but I have a slip cover now for this chair, and it fits really well. It fits great with the decor, and it's protecting a chair that I really love until I want to use it indoors again. Well, here we are, the last chapter in my garden makeover story. This side yard has turned into a proper patch of paradise. It's bursting with beautiful pots and cheerful hanging baskets, and it's got a lovely arch that feels like it's an entrance to a secret garden. There's a gentle water feature bubbling away because, to be honest, nothing says relax quite like the sound of trickling water. Actually, that's not true. There's the sound of somebody making a cup of tea. That's good also. I've got wind chimes, seating, a barbecue for impromptu feasts, the patio table for everything from tea to tipples, a scattering of herbs for snipping, and of course the garden room, all cosy and characterful, standing proud at the side of the garden. And when the sun sets and it's all wrapped in soft golden lights that twinkle in the moonlight, so like something out of a storybook, it's peaceful, it's playful, and it just feels a little bit magical. It's the kind of space that makes you want to stay out until the last bit of evening light disappears, and I often do. is the herb box that is just outside the back door, so when we're cooking everything's right there and ready to go. We've replanted a lot of these from different places and different pots, but it's in the perfect spot, close to the barbecue and not far from the kitchen. I added this big old dish to the table, just stuck a little bird to it. This is for the dogs or the birds, whoever. I just keep it filled with water. So this room I think will evolve over the summer. There's the little hook that one of the last things I bought and just added it for one of the hats. And there's the little slip covered chair. I move things around and change things as I need. I found the lighting was a bit too much, so I added in this little light, and I also added more candles. And in the evenings we don't need much light outside. With all the lighting on the side yard, with the fairground lighting, it's all just enough, and it's just gives a lovely feeling, and it's got a lovely ambience in this little room. It's when the night falls that the magic really begins. The whole garden comes to life in a soft golden glow. All the fairy lights tucked away into branches, and the lanterns flickering gently, and all the twinkle lights wrapped around the arches and the fences are like stardust fallen to earth. It's a little world of its own, quiet and full of wonder, like something from a storybook left open on the last page. And out here under the moon, it just feels like anything's possible. It's really the most beautiful, magical place to be. Well, Dudley just wanted to say thanks for watching, and in case you missed my video earlier on in the week, I wanted to show you my stained glass that I made with my laser printer. These are on the windows. I made 4 of them and they look absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so pleased with how they've turned out. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time for more magic. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.